Hello everyone and welcome back to Technical Potpourri. In today's video, I'm going to dive into an exciting feature for Salesforce admin and developers, and it's all about how to call an Apex method from a Salesforce Flow. Now, this video is a part one of a two-part series. So in today's video, I'm going to cover a very basic use case, but in following video, I'm going to cover a more complex scenarios. So if you want to enhance your Salesforce skill, please stick till the end of this video. So as you can see, I'm in my Salesforce org, and the use case that I'm going to implement is that in the case object, I've created a custom checkbox field called fetch contact name. And the use case is I'm going to create a record triggered flow where the flow will be called every time a case record is being updated with this checkbox equals to true. And then I'm going to pass all the cases satisfying that condition from the Salesforce flow to my Apex method. So it's very basic use case. And once a list of cases are being passed to the Apex method, from the cases, I'm going to fetch the associated contact name and then return that back to the flow. And then flow can do whatever the business logic is. But the intention is to show you how you can pass a record or a list of records from your Salesforce flow to Apex method and then do operation and also return a list of information from your Apex method to your Salesforce flow. Let's build the flow. But before building the flow, this is the prerequisite, which is basically a custom checkbox field called fetch contact name inside the case object. And then I need to write the Apex class before I start writing the flow. Now I've already written the Apex class. Let me bring my Visual Studio. And here is my Visual Studio. And this is the Apex class. The name of the Apex class is fetch contact details from case. And this class, there's something that you need to understand when a Apex method will be called from a Salesforce flow. The Apex method needs some special attention. One of the attention is that the method should be annotated with invocable method. That's what you can see here. This is the actual method which I'll be calling from the Salesforce flow. The name of the method is fetch contact names. And this method has to be a static method, and it has to be annotated with a annotation called invocable method. These are few properties which you can provide to make a little bit of description on the method. But what this method is doing, the method will take always a list. Method will never take a single value. Method will always take list to make sure that the implementation is bulkified. For example, if you want to update multiple records, there is no point of calling this method multiple times. Rather, all those cases will be put in a single session and passed as a list inside this Apex method. So only one Apex method will be called inside the transaction, and that should be able to handle all the cases satisfying the condition. And that is something also I'm going to show you inside this video. Now this method is going to pass again a list of string, and this list of string is basically nothing but it will hold all the contact names from these cases. Inside this method, I'm doing a very basic thing. This is a list. Now this is a SQL query where I am fetching the contact name from the cases where the ID matches with all the past IDs from the flow, and then I'm doing a for loop where I'm going through all the individual cases and store the contact name inside this list variable. Finally, I'm printing the list variable here just for my purpose and returning the all names. All names is nothing but a list which holds all the contact names from the case. So this is a very basic implementation of Apex method. The only thing that you need to know, the class has to be a public class. Inside the method has to be a static method. It should be annotated with invocable method, and this method should always accept a list variable and also return the list variable. It should not be a single variable that it should work with. Okay, with that, let's go to the flow and let's start building the flow. So here I'm in my flow, and let's click on new flow, start from scratch, and this is going to be a record triggered flow. This record triggered flow will be on the case object, and this will trigger every time a record is created or updated. There is a condition, and the condition is that new box field equals to true. Then this will be called, and then here I'm going to call the Apex class. For that, there is an element called action. And here you should be able to find that what the name I've given. Let me open my Visual Studio. So it's a fetch contact names. So the label is used to search here. So if I search fetch contact name, this is my Apex invocable method. I select that. In the label, I put fetch contact details. Here in the IDs, I'll select this one. And here I will pass triggering case dot ID. That's all I need to do. And let's save that. If you see here, I'm passing a triggering case. So it may look like that I'm passing a single case, but this IDs, which is nothing but a list, right? So what the flow will do, flow is intelligent enough to make this as a list and pass that here. So let's save that. Page contact names from cases, save, and let's activate. Now I will go and in the debug log, I will enable the debug log so that I can track the log. So if I click here, enable that, save. Now I'll go to my developer console and I'm going to run. But before that, let's delete all the debug log so that it's easier for me to find out the latest log. Okay, all my debug logs deleted. So in my developer console, I'll go to the debug window and open the execute anonymous window. And here, this is something that I'm doing. I'm fetching all the cases. I'm fetching actually 5 cases from the case object. Let's put the condition where fetch contact name goes to false. So I'm going to fetch 5 cases from my org where this fetch contact names is false, and then I'm going to do a for loop and make the value true, and finally do the update. The moment I do the update, it will be 5 cases updated at the same time. So that will trigger this flow, and then from this flow, the Apex class will be called. And from the debug log, what we'll see is that even though it's a 5 individual records, but instead of calling the flow 5 times, it will be one call of the flow that should be able to handle all the 5 cases. So let's click on execute, and it's done. So let's open the debug log, refresh. Seems like this is my debug log. Now if I open the debug log and search for my custom message, if you see here, this is my custom message and it called only once. So it means these are all the cases that are being passed. If you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the 5 cases that are being passed from the flow to the Apex class. And after doing all this thing, these are the contact names. So one thing is proved is that Salesforce will not call this flow 5 times. Rather, it will be one flow, and that flow should be able to handle all the 5 cases. But the beauty here is that if you see, this is the sequence in which all the cases are being passed to the Apex class. And this is the result. Now, the beauty here is that if I open this first case in my org, what I can see is that the case contact is Mrs. George Davis, and that's the value that I got here. If I open my second one, the contact is different. Contact is Edna Frank. And if I go to my debug log, that's the one. Similar way, it will be third one is Tim Bear and Ashley James is the fifth one. So Salesforce will not only make sure that the bulkification is done internally, but at the same time, the sequence in which the cases are being passed, in the same sequence, the result is also being passed from the Apex to the flow. So this is very important that if you pass the record in a particular sequence, which is basically this is here, this whatever sequence, the list of IDs will be here inside this list variable. Same sequence will be followed here inside your return variable. So this is a very important thing that you should keep in mind. You don't need to do all kind of manipulation like what is the ID, what is the corresponding matching case number. You don't need to do that. You can trust Salesforce, and Salesforce will make sure that the same sequence is being followed between the input and the output. So that's all for today. I hope you like this introductory video of how you can call an Apex method from a Salesforce flow, even though it's a very basic use case, but this use case will give you a good idea of what are the best practices that you need to follow and how you should design your Apex method call from your Salesforce flow. So in my next video, I'm going to handle a more complex scenario where I'll be handling custom request and custom response. That video will be published in 2 days. But till then, please go through this video. If you have any questions, please put this in the comment section of this video. Plus, if you like this video, please hit the like icon, share with your friends, with your colleagues, and please subscribe to my channel so that anytime I publish a new video, you'll be notified automatically. But till then, thank you. Bye bye.